earthquake anniversary in San Francisco MAC meeting to order. So we will first have introductions, and we'll go starting to my left, first of MAC members and then of staff members of the public. So we'll go to my left.
Charles Johnson, member at large, MAC vice chair and member of A&I committee. And next to me is Jessie. She's my friend and caregiver.
Counsel, member at large representing seniors.
Frank Trujillo, member of the River City chapter of the National Federation of the Blind.
Helen O'Connell, chairperson of TCMP and member at large.
Okay, do we have MAC members on virtually, Austin? So can you unmute Mariano too?
Good afternoon, Mariano Rosales, Program Manager, California Resource Services, MAC member.
Thank you.
And do we have German? Guess not.
Anyone else? Or was that it right now? Austin. Hugh is on.
Oh, Hugh, great.
Great.
Go ahead and
Thank you.
introduce yourself.
No, he might be typing.
Yeah, he might be.
Yeah.
Okay, so and I forgot to give my name. I'm Jeff Tom. I'm the MAC chair representing the ACB Capital Chapter, California Council of the Blind. So let us now go to approval of minutes. We have minutes for.
Did you want the SAC-RT staff to introduce?
Oh, God.
No, that's
I'm
fine.
sorry. Thank you. With staff and members of the public. So I will have Priscilla sort of lead this whole process.
Great. Priscilla Vargas, I'm staff liaison to the MAC and ADA compliance officer for SAC-RT. I think.
Richard Mitchell, Director of Community Contracted Bus Services.
Carmen Alba, VP of Operations.
Vincent Beatty, Director of Light Rail Operations.
Jamie Pulcanavery, Director of Customer Satisfaction.
Charity Oakley, Transportation Superintendent.
Jessica Gonzalez, Director of Marketing, Communications, and Public Information.
Holly Martinez, Senior Customer Advocate.
Kathy Sajan, the Paratransit Operations Manager.
Sean Reynolds, Program Analyst, SAC-RT Go.
Austin Greiner, Accessible Services.
Okay, members of the public. Well, actually, first, hold on. Do we have any RT staff members on Zoom?
Austin has to check his.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello, this is Casey Courtwright. Director of Office Management and Budget at SAC-RT.
Okay.
And Michael Cormay, Director of Light Rail Maintenance.
Great. Okay, so I think we're now two members of the public in the room first.
Yeah, Austin's just gonna have the mic.
Okay.
I'm Leslie Tom, with California Council of the Blind, Capital Chapter.
Buddy Nason, first time being here.
Welcome.
Hello, my name is Joe Wilson. Comes from Resources for Good Independent Living and I'm a system change advocate.
Great, welcome.
Oh, I'm his caregiver.
Thank you.
That's everybody.
All right, anyone on Zoom from the public? Keeping Austin busy. I know.
Jessica Hunt.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
Jessica Hunt here. Yes.
Great, thank you.
Uh, Regina Brink, President of ACB Capital Chapter.
Okay,
That it? Austin? I think that's it. Okay. All right.
wow. This is maybe the first meeting that we haven't had Jeff Tardigui in like years. He is ever present and holding us to a high standard, but okay, so let's see now. Our first item of business then is for the minutes. Yes. Do we have a motion to
Second,
that? I didn't make the motion. I was asking for it. So
Oh.
we need the motion first.
I move we accept the minutes as presented.
And
Second.
okay.
Helen,
Go
second?
ahead. Okay, so we have a motion, and a second. Is there discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? Abstentions? Okay, thank you. Okay, public comment, and this is strictly on items not on the agenda. I think this time we'll take Zoom first, just to sort of go the other way. So anyone want to raise their hand if you have public comment on Zoom? No hands, Austin, that you see?
Is there anyone with their hand up? Austin, I can't tell.
Okay, can you tell me, recognize them, and we'll,
We have Jessica Hunt on Zoom.
okay, Jessica, the floor is yours.
I'm sorry. I don't know this, so I don't know if I can do this now or not, but I was wanting to ask about SACRT Go and Userve. If Userve is supposed to automatically come to the door before calling, are they just automatically supposed?
If
Yes.
you could, that issue will definitely come up.
Okay, no, I
So
just
don't forget and don't leave or anything like that. We want to hear from you.
Sure.
But we'll do it when we get to the RT Go update a little later.
got it. That's all you had to let me know. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
And Jeff Tardigui, well, it's first, so that's the only hand up, correct? Right. Okay, so we're now members of the public in the room for public comment. Yep. Good thing we would not know what to do without you, Jeff.
Well, first public comment is looking at Google, trying to find this meeting today was quite an interesting feat. I understand you're redesigning the website, but trying to find this was interesting. So that's why I am here right now today. Rode on the bus and had some interesting things to comment through there. Public comment would ask, I'm hoping that there's going to be, I didn't see it in here, a report about your little excursion, I guess, yesterday to town and Ninth about dealing with the low floor vehicle. I hope you have something to say about that, Jeff, as well as dealing with what's going on with the statewide, Jeff, dealing with the disability Caltech or Caltrans thing. And that'll be my into public comment for today.
Yeah, we will have the former. The latter is not on there, and maybe we ought to really think about whether we want to have, bring the executive committee should think about, because I know Jeff has asked for this a couple times, whether we want to have some kind of an update on some of the advocacy going on at the state level. But that's not something we can handle today. Okay. Any other public comment in the room?
I don't see any hands.
Okay, so next is chair's report, and I think that would, well, we'll have two items. First item is we just want to underscore the fact that we are definitely in recruitment mode for new MAC members. So, you know, we have various slots to fill, including we don't currently have someone from RIL as one of our organizational members. And so we're definitely short both from the disability and senior aspect. So if you're interested, you can certainly go on the website and find the application, or you can talk to Accessible Services and they can help you out there. So I don't know if you have anything to add, Priscilla, on that.
No, not just that we're going to really be moving ahead and trying to get some new members over the next 2 quarters. Thank you.
Yeah. So I think we will add to the chair's report, because it's not technically on here, a little recap of yesterday, and I'll open it up to the floor for others to say whatever they like. We did view the S700 train yesterday. It was a very nice, nicely laid out tour that we got. Everyone got to go onto the train, experience it with bicycles on there, learn more about the mechanisms for opening the doors. I actually learned yesterday why the doors don't automatically open, whereas they could, and they do in other cities, but we don't. Apparently, that has to do with the amount of time that we have in our stations, which isn't very much. And so the trip time, I guess, is not such that they want to automatically open doors. So we learned about how the methodology for opening doors. We looked at the as I said, the fit with bicycles. It was my understanding from some I talked to that the ramp appeared to be a little easier to work with this time than it was when we had our earlier tour. But I just want to open it up to the MAC members to sort of give their, impressions of yesterday. So anybody want the floor, either in the room or on Zoom?
I have something to say.
Go ahead, Helen.
I'm glad that we had the opportunity to view and manipulate wheelchairs into the cart. And I found several areas that were of concern for me. The location of the button to open the doors was inaccessible. And they said that they would move it so that it would be more accessible. We had a software issue that they could fix. They had the left-hand wheelchair button would only open the left side of the train. I told them that would be unacceptable because if somebody else is sitting on the right-hand side and I needed to exit the right-hand side, that would be unsafe for me to be moving while the train was moving. And it wouldn't allow enough time for me to get up to the door and push the button to open the door. They said that that was a software issue and they could address that. I was very happy with the input and the dialogue between staff and the people that were there to find a few bugs and see if we could straighten them out before they hit the streets. So thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, Helen. Anyone else?
I have a comment, Jeff.
Go ahead.
Okay. I agree with everything that Helen said. First of all, I want to thank staff, all the people involved in setting the visit up, and all of the staff who showed up to show and tell. It was great. The MAC has seen these buses in the past year and a half or so a couple of times, and the phrase of the day was, we finally got to see one of these things out in the wild and not in the Siemens yard. And they're absolutely beautiful. Helen is quite right. I had the same problem that she did in using the button that's on the bottom of a chair when you're in a wheelchair. When you're sitting there, it was simply inaccessible to us in wheelchairs, and they are going to fix that. And as Helen said, there's some software issues that have to be taken care of. Also, we found that if we enter one of the doors where wheelchairs are available, but if there are wheelchairs or bicycles there, we found out that we cannot roll down the aisle to the next section where wheelchairs are if people are sitting there, because there would be too many toes that would be run over, and the squeals after that would just be deafening. So we talked about then what would happen if you rolled on, saw you couldn't park there in a wheelchair and you had to go down to the next section. And so they're going to, again, with software fix, and the driver will be able to see someone go on and then instantly roll back off, and will allow the bus or the car to stay there in time for the wheelchair user to move on to the other door and get on. So you won't roll out and then have the car leave. You'll have time to get from one place to the other. And so those were the two major things that we found. But overall, the buses or the cars are just beautiful. So really looking forward to seeing them on. And there's a fair amount of discussion about integrating the at the platforms, integrating the low floors with the high floors, and how that's going to work, and what the tactile surfaces are going to be for where the doors, wheelchair accessible doors are. And so, to my way of thinking, they've done a good job in trying to accommodate all of these things. And so it's going to be some time before all of the lines are low floor. And so the way that they're planning on integrating these, I think, is quite doable. And with good education on the part of RT, I think it's going to be, the transition will work out pretty well. Obviously, there'll be some things to learn, but it's looking, at this point, I think it's looking really good. Thanks very much.
Okay, anyone else?
Austin, is there anyone on? Did Mariano have a comment?
Okay.
I have a short sentence.
Sure.
Yeah. We found out that we could get 4 wheelchairs on one car, and there's going to be 2-car trains. So there will be access for 8 wheelchairs on each train. Hopefully, they won't all be crammed in with the wheels of a bicycle, because they're behind us. But there should be plenty of room for all.
Yeah, I really want to second one thing, which both Helen and Charlie said, but Helen really hit a nail on the head. The give and take of the discussion yesterday was really exemplary, back and forth between staff and MAC members, and I really think that needs to be called out, because it was extremely positive. I felt listening to the points, and clearly an understanding of the issues was conveyed and well received. So, all right. So
If I could make a comment also.
Yes, go right ahead, Mariana.
I just wanted to continue off that. I was very grateful to be a part of the tour and being able to interact with the staff who, like you touched on, was very receptive, especially the engineering team, and just kind of getting an insight into their thought process and going through creating these setups for the disability community. I think it was very encouraging, and I look forward to additional opportunities like that in the future.
Great, thank you. All right, so we will now go to, well, is there any, before we go to the first item of old business, is there any staff member who has a really tight schedule and would request to be moved up in the agenda?
Jeff, sorry,
Yes.
my hand was up.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Regina, go ahead.
I just wanted to echo everybody, and I love the cars and everything. I had two concerns. Number one, someone in a manual chair, not an electric chair, but a manual chair. I think I think the person I was paired with in the manual chair had a bit of difficulty with that ramp manually. And he's a younger guy. So I was concerned about that maybe take a look at that. I'm not a wheelchair. I don't use a wheelchair. So, but I did notice that. The other thing is, has anyone navigated this with a dog guide? And if not, I would like to see that happen if possible. That's it.
That's a very good point. No one yesterday had one.
We did talk about it though, and we're gonna look into how
one of the
how
issues,
service animals will function, successfully on the trains and where they'll.
yeah, one of the issues that we had that Priscilla actually raised yesterday was that unless you go to the back upper level of the car, there is not room under the seat. So the seats are flush all the way to the bottom. So, I know that's not what, service animal users want, preferably, but so the choice is going to be either to go to the upper level, which you're also not going to want to necessarily do because it's a fair distance of navigation, and it could be full, and you might have to just go back down. And well, the car is already in motion, so that's not necessarily a great safety thing. So that is an issue. Pam, go ahead.
I thank Regina because it brought something to mind for me. Was there anyone there that tested with a walker? And I apologize, I wasn't able to be there yesterday. I'm wondering if there was difficulty with a manual wheelchair, a walker could also have trouble with a steep incline. So just something to think of in the future.
We didn't have anyone with a walker yesterday, but the incline is not nearly as steep as it was when we were at Siemens, which was.
And that was doable.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It was,
Okay.
that was really a mock-up, which is very different from the
Wasn't sure.
the real setup, which is what we were able to see at Township 9 and deal with at Township
Well,
9.
in the future, I will bring my handy dandy walker to test exam for a drive.
Yeah, the slopes seem pretty relatively minor, but I wasn't using a walker, so I couldn't say, but it was clearly much better. That's what both Helen and Charlie said, but of course they are not using manual wheelchairs, right? You guys are in power chairs, so so that's another, we will have to take a look at those specific issues.
I brought up an issue with the jump seats that were adjacent to the door across from the wheelchair slot. They were individual seats, but they did not fold up. And I suggested that they get fold up seats so that somebody would be able to put a cart, a scooter, a stroller or a walker in that area and maybe sit in an adjacent seat. But they said they weren't sure if they could get the seats to do that. But they were going to look into it.
Yeah. Anyone else? Okay, Jeff.
From what you said, this is Jeff Tardigio. From what you said, there are good cameras for the operators. Was the loudspeaker system utilized? And on the door, was there a difference between pressing the button that did not inside this, should I say, release the ramp? In other words, wanting to confirm that you cannot release without having the ramp released from inside. Is that clear, Jeff?
Yes. You can, correct? You don't have to release the ramp, right? Isn't that correct? I mean, this has the same configuration as outside.
But from inside, if somebody will release it and not deploy the ramp, not realizing whether the ramp is deployed or not, is wanting to be sure there's a distinction of a sound or something on there to when the ramp is deployed or when from the inside it's not deployed. Obviously, from what you said of being inaccessible, I'm assuming that button that's going to be to release it is going to be lowered in some manner. I don't believe last time that it was going to be, I thought it was at the top that you released the ramp. So just checking how the button situation on the door is going to be now rearranged.
Does one of the staff members want to address Jeff's inquiry?
It's a question about the buttons and the
Yeah, I'm not sure I do either. Hey, clarify your question a little bit, Jeff, so we get you a good answer.
There's two middle doors which have ramps. The two outside doors do not have ramps. So those doors do not have a handicap button. Does that answer the question? Okay. What was the second part? Inaccessible. What do you mean by that? Uh-huh. Oh, right. And so it depends. Go ahead. Yeah.
So that's an accessible, Vincent Beatty, Director of Light Rail. So that's an accessible strip that we noticed yesterday that some of the members could not put their hand inside that bar to touch the yellow strip. So we're researching now to raise that strip to make it more accessible so you don't have to go through that handle.
And the other thing was that
they couldn't, yeah. It's just easier to put it at the top of the seat.
Well, the other thing too was that it only opened the side that you were on. And if you were on the track side and you were sitting on that side, you want to be able to open it as well. And so you want that strip to open the non-track side as well.
And this is Vince again, and that's something that maintenance is also researching. It's a programming issue.
Right.
And yeah.
Yeah. Does that get at your question, Jeff? Partly?
He said yes.
Okay, thank you. All right. So let's go on to our first item of business. And I wanted to ask whether anybody had a tight schedule from staff that they.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, it's Vince from Light Rail again. I wanted to address that ramp that somebody mentioned. That ramp is it more than meets the ADA requirements. And it is a lot different from what you folks saw at Siemens. And everyone that was there yesterday saw that it was more of an incline that was more hospitable for use. So it is, it does more, it meets the ADA, it more than meets the ADA requirement. So there's not that much of a slant anymore, as you noticed yesterday.
Yeah, that's correct. But we still want to have somebody test it from those vantage points just to
yes,
be sure. But nonetheless, I agree with your basic statement. Okay, so anyone with a tight schedule? All right, I don't hear anybody. So the first update is from Jessica Gonzalez with Public Communication and Education report for the S700 trains, correct? That's the first. Since I left my agenda at home.
Okay.
Yes, that's correct. You got it right.
Okay, I am here. Yes, I am up next. Thank you for having me again. Jessica Gonzalez. Again, I'm the Director of Marketing Communication and Public Information here at SAC-RT. So yesterday, when many of you went out to Township 9 to test out the train, I was there earlier that morning, right up until when you visited us, because I had another meeting I had to get to. And we actually did our video shoot with the new trains and showed how to ride. So we did have 2 riders and mobility devices, and we had 2 visually impaired riders with white cane sticks. And so we were able to not only show them how to interact with the train before we started shooting the video, but it was actually very educational for me to see how someone who's visually impaired wants us to explain to someone where those buttons are located, how far apart they are. So I think that was really helpful and insightful as we're working on different website copy and different materials as we're continuing with our education outreach. So we were able to get all of our shots that we needed. We also got still shots to create some other materials as we're moving forward. And then I also want to give an update on that video. So we are working with CIT, who is a vendor with Accessible Services, Cal Interpreting and Translation Services. And so once we have our How to Ride video completed, they will then get that video and work on the visual audio description for us. So that would be a part 2. So we will have 2 versions of that video. The second version will take a little bit longer because we do need the vendor to translate the visuals for us. A couple other quick updates. I had mentioned in my last update, we're creating temporary banners for our mini high ramps. They go at the top of the mini high ramps, just to start our communication with riders who currently use mini high ramps on Gold and Green Line, to let them know later this summer that there will be changes and new trains will be coming and everyone will be boarding from the platform. So we will be getting those out hopefully the end of this month, beginning of May. I got my sample in. I'm happy with my sample, and now I have to order all of them. And then I also wanted to just share that we will also be adding audio announcements at stations, letting people know about those changes for the mini high ramps. We'll do that at the same time that the temporary banners go out, so that everyone is starting to hear the news that things are going to start changing. And then my last quick update. I don't have the dates for the community events yet, but I'm real close. We are working internally just to make sure logistically I can get trains to different stations during these dates that I'm requesting. But I can tell you that we're targeting 13th Street Station on a Saturday, and we're targeting Township 9 Station on a Wednesday. So then that way we give people different opportunities, a weekend day and a work day during the day. And so we're really excited to be able to have everyone out again at those community events, and the rest of the public and our riders to get excited about these new trains. I really think after many of you went out and interacted with the trains again yesterday, it really helps you understand how these are going to work. It also helps us see, how do we need to communicate this? What are the challenges? The other piece that I'm working on is all of the decals that will go on the doors and inside the trains. And I'm hoping to get those ready in time for the community events, but it's a lot. A lot of our team went to San Diego, and we were able to get decals from them. So I'm working to replicate many of the things that they already have in their trains. So that is my update. Any questions?
Yeah, so I'll open it up for every questions, but it's probably not doable, but I'll throw it out anyway, because there's no harm in, there's all sorts of harm in not saying anything. I wish that there is a way. A lot of the riders who have disabilities, and specifically those with vision impairments, are going to be downtown because they're going to, go to work down there, and so it would be nice if there was some sort of train at one of the 3 stations, so that they could identify where they are supposed to go and not supposed to go, depending upon what line they're taking, because that will be confusing to people for a little while. If they're riders who do it every day, they're going to learn, because learning by doing, that's how you do it. But anyway, I just throw that out.
I kind of want to get a better understanding when you say a train.
Well, I mean, because those are the three, you have the three stations where they're gonna be at different places depending upon what line is, the train is on. And so for the people who work down there, it would be nice if they could experience that.
At that station. Well, we'd have to shut down the whole system. to be
Yeah,
able to do
okay,
that.
I understand.
So that's challenging.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm hosting community events, working with our partners. We're also working really closely with the SAC TMA, and we've been holding a number of travel trainings and how to rides. And so as we move forward closer into getting those trains, it's opportunities to set up at those downtown stations that have mixed fleet where we can talk about that with riders.
Right, that'd be great.
Yep.
That would be it.
For sure. Yep.
Thank you. Okay, other MAC members.
Helen,
go ahead.
It was my understanding that the green line and the gold line were going to be exclusively low floor, and then the blue line would have the high ramp for a while.
Correct. A very long while.
Yes, several years. But are you going to have audio announcements to let them know the gold line's coming?
Yes,
blue
I don't
line's
know if you
coming?
missed one of our last presentations. My boss gave a presentation 2 months ago. And so I believe she did touch upon, we are working on specific audio announcements for any of the mixed fleet stations. So that's something that we're working on. And really what we need to educate riders on is if you are a blue line rider, you continue to use the mini high. So just go there if that's what you're using, right? And if you're taking a gold line or a green line, you stay on the platform. So it really comes down to that education piece up front, but then yes, there will be audio announcements as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Mariano, do you have any questions or comments?
Mariana, Hugh, and German.
Oh, we got all you folks now. Any of you have any?
Any hands up, or are they unmuted? Okay.
Okay. Members of the public?
No hands.
Okay. Thank you, Jessica.
All right. Thank you.
So, whoops. Turn myself off. Maybe I meant to. Okay. What's our next item? Okay. We are to Richard Mitchell and Kathy Sajan.
No, actually, it's
Second,
next item
go
is.
open house with.
Oh, close you then. It's Priscilla on the open house. Okay.
Yeah,
All right, go for it.
All right, so I just wanted to give a quick update on the open house last month, which went really well. We had our Friday virtual open house. I believe that was on the 20th. The dates are, the time is just the 22nd, and then the 23rd was the in-person open house. So the 22nd was not that well attended, but we did definitely get. I think we had a good presentation. We had folks from UServe on virtually as well at that virtual meeting, and then the rest of us were together in the auditorium. The in-person open house, we had a good attendance. It was probably about, I think there were 35 or 37 attendees, something along those lines. And that included some of the PCA members as well that attended. But it was at Citrus Heights Community Center, which was a nice facility. Although we had quite a bit of strange weather. We had rain right when folks were trying to get in. And then it got nice. The sun came out, and then, a little bit of rain again. And so it was interesting in that regard. But Jeff did a good job. He discussed and gave an overview of the MAC, and we had a lot of good feedback. We've debriefed that particular open house. I don't have a date for the next open house. However, we do plan on having an open house sometime in the fall. So more to come on that. And so I really don't have a lot more detail there, but I think what's really been helpful with the open house is some of that feedback. We need to talk more internally, but just following up on developing something as a result of those open houses by way of a you know, a FAQ or something along those lines. We have done FAQs when we first started with the open houses, and I think just based on what we've gleaned from all of the feedback, that it's time to work on making sure we have more information in there for folks that have really guided us, especially on our supplemental services. So that's really all I have at the moment, but more to come, and I'll definitely let everyone know when that next open house is going to occur.
Just a quick comment. I thought it was probably the most successful one we've had. I think from the MAC perspective, I did get comments about how people learned more about the MAC than they ever knew, which is what we hope to do. I think maybe next time, and I'll talk about it with folks in between now and then, but we might want to be a little less, we were kind of formal about the MAC this time, and we didn't concentrate quite as much on public interaction and the community. We did, but I think we might want to gear the focus a little bit, you know, differently to provide more of a mixture of information. But nonetheless, I think we went, you know, we did get somewhere in terms of providing folks with some understanding of the MAC. So I think we achieved that. Any comments from anyone on the open house, MAC members? Pam, go ahead.
Just three items. First, I was only on the Zoom one. I was sorry to miss the in-person. Like Priscilla, I was disappointed in what a low turnout there was, because the presentations, this is my second point, the presentations by staff were really good. I learned a lot from them. I thought they were well organized and would have been very beneficial for more people. That was, hang on to the master plans for those, because those were really good. And then one final thing on the MAC, to clear up there, it may have been a little confusing. There was the impression that to be a member representing seniors, you had to be a senior, and that has never been the case, as we can testify with Area 4 Agency on Aging. And I wasn't a senior when I started, but I'm overqualified now. But
okay, thank you. That I'm glad we don't want to.
yeah, no, the concept from the start has been seniors, of course, and people who have a special background or interest or advocacy. For example, we did have members from the Adult and Aging Commission and OWL, Older Women's League. And at one point, I was kind of a bridge between the gerontology department at Sac State with issues on transportation. So there's a broad range of people that can speak up for seniors.
Sure. Thank you, Pam.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else?
Anyone on
Zoom?
no hand?
Okay, members of the public that may have attended, anything, quick points? Okay, next item.
It's the Cal ITP update with Casey.
Okay, Casey, you're on.
Good afternoon, Chair Tom, members of the MAC, Casey Courtright, Director of Office of Management and Budget at SAC-RT. Very hopeful that the next time we do this in another month or so, I'll be able to align the schedule so that I can meet with you guys in person rather than through Zoom here. But I have some exciting news to present on a couple of items, some concrete steps that we're taking at SAC-RT towards implementing a next generation fare system for our passengers. On April 8th, the SAC-RT board voted to delegate authority to our general manager to enter into 2 contracts related to Cal ITP. One of those contracts will be with a company called Cuba. They provide payment acceptance devices, or the hardware associated with tapping your contactless credit card or debit card. So that's similar to the technology that we have on board our light rail vehicles now. This is a different provider, but the same technology. So we will be expanding that to our bus fleet, including SAC-RT Go vehicles in the near future, just working on finalizing that contract before signature. The second contract was with a company called Little Pay. They are the transit payment processor. So their role in this is that they actually are the ones sending the payment information to the bank. So those two companies will work in tandem to allow passengers with contactless credit or debit cards to be able to pay directly on board SAC-RT vehicles. So SAC-RT Go passengers, for example, would be able to board the vehicle, a SAC-RT Go vehicle, with just their credit or debit card and tap that device to pay directly on board. So very exciting development there. We are anticipating signing those contracts within the next month. So I would expect that when I'm here next month to provide further updates, that will be behind us, and we'll have more information on exact implementation schedules and stuff like that we're targeting with them. The second item that we've made some concrete steps towards is just this week on Monday, our procurement department released an RFP to procure an account-based ticketing system and mobile application that will go along with that. So this project's been known as a number of things internally and at the public level. I've heard it called Connect Card 2.0. I've heard it called Consolidated Mobile App. I've heard it called Account-Based Ticketing System. But essentially what this is SAC-RT's existing fare systems our electronic fare systems are in need of some upgrades. And so our contract with ZipPass that we have now expires on June 30th. We do have an option to extend that contract beyond June 30th, and likely will be looking to do that while we finalize procurement on what could potentially be a new mobile app. It could be an extension of the existing mobile app. That will obviously depend on the outcome of the bid process or the procurement process itself. So we're absolutely looking forward to doing that. This will give passengers, it will leverage the technology that we have that we're implementing through CalITP, in that these payment acceptance devices, the CalITP ones, will actually be the hardware that we are electronically validating our new fares on. So passengers with the new mobile app will be able to tap their phones to this hardware as well to validate their tickets, reducing operator intervention. It will decrease boarding times and help our system just flow more smoothly. It'll also give all of our passengers, regardless of whether you're paying with a Connect Card equivalent, the mobile app, a credit or debit card, will all have the same passenger experience when they board the vehicle. They'll all go to the exact same payment device, and we'll all have the same back office that they're operating out of. So our customer service should be improved through this, as our customer service team will all be looking at customers through the same back office as well. So very excited about all of these emerging technologies, and they're all seeming to be converging here together on a similar time frame, which we think will be fantastic for our passengers as well. So with that, would love to take any questions that the group may have.
Okay, so let's start with MAC members on Zoom first this time. Any hands on Zoom, Austin? No. Okay, let's go with MAC members in the room. Questions for Casey? Okay, go ahead.
I am a RT Go 60 pass rider, and I can also access the bus and the train and Smart Ride with my Connect card. And I was wondering how they would track which form of transportation I was on, and how they would make sure that I had the correct number of rides for RT Go, and be able to use it also on the other forms of transportation.
Yeah, so the nice thing about a fully integrated system like this is that the back office itself will be able to manage the physical location of the payment acceptance devices, the Kuba hardware. So those pieces of equipment will know if they are on a SAC-RT Go vehicle or a fixed route vehicle, a Smart Ride vehicle, for example, and will be able to deduct fare appropriately based on your boarding location. So there's There's no intention at this point for us to remove any of the existing functionality that the customers have or the existing benefits that passengers have. In all likelihood, the experience will just get simpler for you in that you won't need to have both an electronic pass on the SAC-RT Go side and a Connect card pass on the fixed route side. You should be able to manage, and SAC-RT should be able to manage all of that within one more simplified back office system for you.
Thank you.
Any other member questions? Okay, questions from the public first. Anyone on Zoom? Okay, in the room. Jeff, go ahead.
Jeff Tartagia. Casey, how related is the device to an ATM machine? Because how is the proximity related to the tapping on process going forward?
So unfortunately, they won't give you cash out of it, Jeff. If you tap, it's not going to give you money. I wish it did, but no, it is. It's similar to. I think you're asking about the experience of tapping your credit card to the ATM machine instead of inserting your card.
Yes.
Yeah, it'll be very similar to that. So it's a called contactless. You can do it without actually touching the device. You can tap your card to the device, but your credit or debit card that has the little Wi-Fi symbol on the card, all new credit or debit cards printed in California include this feature. They have for the last couple of years now, so most all cards in your wallet probably do. At this point, any of those credit or debit cards could be used on this system.
Oh, that'd be great. Okay, any other questions or comments? Is that a yes or a no?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
So my name is Patty Mason. So are we using the RT card? That same payment that we use for RT, regular RT? That's my question. Brad?
So I'm not fully sure I understood the question completely, but what I can say is that the new mobile application that is delivered, you will be able to use that mobile app to buy either SAC-RT Go passes or fixed route passes, the same as you can with the current application. The additional feature that's being added is that now, as you board a SAC-RT Go vehicle, you can pay directly with your contactless credit or debit card, with your Apple Pay on your phone if you have it, or Google Pay. The same credit and debit card that you use to buy groceries or pick up a Starbucks, you can use directly on the bus.
So essentially, you wouldn't have to have a Connect card, correct? You could.
Correct, and that's one of the things that's being considered, Chair Tom, is whether or not. Yeah, that's certainly one of the things that's a benefit of this. There is no need for the physical Connect card anymore. They are the same. Your phone essentially becomes your Connect card, or it could be a smartwatch even. It doesn't even have to be a phone. But they become your de facto Connect card in this case.
Right. Okay. Is that Mr. Nixon? Is that satis? I'm sorry. Does that give you the answer that you? Thank you. Okay. Anyone else? All right.
Go quarterly update with Richard Mitchell.
Okay, Richard and friends, it's a SAC-RT Go quarterly update.
Good afternoon, Chair Tom and MAC members. So today I will be updating you on the SAC-RT Go paratransit service quarterly update, and then some various other items. So to start with, to update us on our January ridership, that for SAC-RT Go by itself, we did 21,321 passengers. User did 7,424 with a grand total of 28,748. In February of this year, Go did 21,029 passengers. User did 7,790 with a grand total of 28,819. And now for our exciting news that in March, Go did 23,193. User did 7,946 with a grand total of 31,139 passengers, which is since SAC-RT took the service, the paratransit service in-house back in June of 2020, this is the highest ridership we've ever had. So now for our grand totals, our running grand totals for the year, SAC-RT Go has from July 23 to March of 24, SAC-RT Go has done 193,334 passengers. User 64,287 with a grand total of 257,621. So now on to our on-time performance. And we have in January of 2024, SAC-RT Go did 89% on time. User did 99% on time, and our combined on-time performance was 92%. So we had an excellent month with our on-time performance in the month of January. In February, our on-time performance for SAC-RT Go went to 79%. User, again, 99% with a combined total of 85% on time. And then in March, we, with that heavy ridership, we dropped down to 76% for SAC-RT Go on-time performance. User still at 99%, and then our combined total was 82%. So just remembering that, or reminding Mac that comparing the 99%, user again is able to return trips, and they're doing that in larger numbers to us, and we're monitoring that and having ongoing discussions. And we can't deny anybody, and we're still providing ADA and non-ADA service. We're treating it the same way at this point. So we definitely have a lot of demand for our service, and our numbers are definitely showing that. To update on our hiring events, during the third quarter, there was a hiring event held on January 11th and January 19th. And staff and all the SAC-RT staff that was there in the HR department felt those two were probably the most attended hiring events that we've had so far. And the next hiring events that are scheduled are for May 7th and 21st. And we are having a focus put on SAC-RT Go paratransit service to really try to promote getting more people hired for our service. And then a couple other items to update you on is that our scheduling software that we have for SAC-RT Go with EcoLane, and then for Smart Ride, we have that software with VIA. The RFP for that went out publicly on Friday of last week. And so we're in that process, and hopefully by November 1st, we will have either the similar or new service provider, depending on how the RFP process goes. And then the last information is that what we shared at the open house is that SAC-RT Go has received 30 new cutaway buses, and that we're transitioning, getting them into service during the month of April and May. So.
Okay, thank you. I'm just reminding I can't remember your name, but the member of the public that had the SAC-RT Go issue, we will definitely get to you fairly soon. So MAC member questions of Richard.
I have a question.
Okay, Charlie, go ahead.
What happened in January with the SAC-RT Go OTP that bounced way up from December, and then in February it bounced way down again?
Okay, so if you see the running total, I mean, the January grand total was still kind of, right up there, at 27,700 range.
Right.
And during that month, we were, I would say, of the funded positions we had, we were fully staffed. And then during the supplemental months, we had people transfer out of Go to the other departments of either light rail or bus. And we've been working on solutions and gearing up so that we have additional employees hired for that. And we did have them in February and March, but they were in the training process. And so even like an exciting news that Kathy Sajan, the operation manager for SAC-RT Go, informed me that we're having 3 of them graduate this week into service. So, and we still have a handful in training because it takes about 6 to 8 weeks to fully train the drivers. It's maybe sometimes longer just because of the type of service we have with the door-to-door, the tablet, and especially them learning the specific requirements at certain locations and handling the passengers that we have. So our training takes a little bit longer, and then that's why there'll be a lag on that. And we're trying to get processes in place so that we can minimize that lag and already have people in the training when these situations occur.
Great. And a second question, which this may not be appropriate here, but is there any discussion on taking a look at the EcoLane software and perhaps going to a different vendor?
Well, that's with it out to bid.
Oh, that's what went out to bid. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
EcoLane and VIA. So EcoLane for SAC-RT Go,
Got it.
and then VIA for Smart Ride.
Oh,
both of those contracts are expiring, and because we've exercised the extensions on them, so we have to go out to bid. And now it's open to all of the we call it SaaS software providers, and so any of them can bid, and we definitely have interest by a lot of the major players in putting proposals in.
Super, thank you.
Okay, other members?
Yes, I've got a question because I missed the information. The hiring dates
Okay.
that are coming up.
Helen, those will be May 7th and May 21st, and they'll be in the auditorium that we're meeting in right now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I don't have the times written down, but I can definitely get those for you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, anyone else? On Zoom, members on Zoom.
No members on Zoom. Everybody's can chat if they, MAC member.
Oh, there we go. Okay, I see it.
Okay, let's go to the, I can't remember your name, I apologize, but member who had the member of the public who had, Jessica, yes. Jessica, why don't you restate your concern, Jessica?
Okay, I got like one or two. First of all, you say it's door-to-door service for, and I'm talking about user of now, because usually SAC-RT Go is very good. So they text and they call. Are they supposed to just come right up to the door?
Okay, so yes, our service is door to door, whether a user vehicle shows up or a SAC-RT Go. It's our policy. It should be the same. And like with user, I know that, as they are on their way to, you'll get a text message saying that they're on their way with the ETA. Sometimes what we're finding out is some of the drivers will then call when they arrive, but they should be going to the door. And so we've been addressing this with user for the past couple of months as a concern. And I was notified today that they're starting a campaign with all of their drivers about the door-to-door requirement, and that they do need to go door to door, and they need to escort unless the passengers declines the escort assistant, but there still need to be at door to door regardless. That is our policy.
Yeah. I mean, and because if they call, that's why I usually. I mean, let me ask you this another question here. If they call, right, and I ask them to come to the door, do I make a complaint on that, or?
Yes, please, because
Okay, that's
that's the way that we can monitor that. And we've had several complaints even recently coming in, and one from somebody from the community, making, stating that pretty much almost like 90% of the time they don't go to the door, and it just helps support our SAC-RT's position to make sure that our contractor is aware of this and to be able to hold them accountable to follow what our policy is and what our contract has them to do.
And that's what I thought. So even if I request it, that's what I was thinking. Now, when I make the complaints, I heard that we are supposed to get an update or emails on how the complaints are going, or
do you mean a complaint, just to clarify your comment so we can get the right person to answer it? Do you mean a formal complaint through the complaint process, Jessica?
Yeah. I'm talking about like when you call like the customer advocacy or.
So Jamie, do you want to address that?
Hi there. Thanks for asking the question, Jessica. Yes, you will receive a response back, and we recommend anyone either on the call or present, if you would like follow-up, please indicate that. Our customer advocates typically will go over the process with you, but if for some reason that's not indicated, we definitely want you to speak up and say, can you tell me, the outcome? Can you reach back out to me? Can you follow up? And we will do that. That's correct. Yes.
Okay, so all I gotta do is let them know that I would like a follow-up then.
Yeah, so just to sort of comment on this, and Jessica, I am thrilled that you brought this up because this has been sort of at the top of my list. It has seemed to my wife and I that around the same time, like middle last year, when there started to be a large turnover in U-Serve drivers, that the numbers of drivers who did not come to the door immediately started to plummet. And I would agree that it is probably 90% of the time now that drivers do not come to the door. I'm glad to hear they're undertaking a campaign. It should have happened sooner than this, but I'm glad they're trying to do something because it really, as one of the MAC members said yesterday, that's a rule and they ought to be following it. So, I'm glad to see something is going to be done, and I hope that we have a gradual upturn in those drivers who are coming to the door, and then that gradual upturn, I hope it doesn't happen over a long, long period of time. So that's my comment. Any other MAC members have any comments on this issue that Jessica has raised?
Chair Tom, one thing to add to your comment there is that recently over the past, since the first of the year, we've also had discussions with user about the training on their drivers knowing what a zip pass was, and the fact that there was a lot of challenges with that. They put a campaign together for that, and we saw a dramatic decrease in the amount of complaints coming in on that. So we've at least seen that when they do these campaigns, that there are some results, tangible results that occur because of their campaign. It doesn't eliminate 100%, but it definitely makes an impact.
Right. Okay. Absolutely.
Richard, 99% of users do not even have the SAC Artigo signs on their vehicles. Why not?
I was going to bring that up.
And that's something that we're continually working on with them. They have they've added it as a part of their kind of like what you would call a pre-trip before they go into service for SAC Artigo, to sign off and say, yes, I have it on there. And it is definitely something that kind of improves and then goes back. And I don't know if it's because we changed the logo recently and they're in a transition of that, but I verified with user that they have shipped out all of the let's call them window decals to all of their drivers, and we're again readdressing this and trying to get a hold of it. So we're aware it's still an issue and we're continually working on that.
Okay, thank you. Other member questions? Other members of the public? Any questions?
Jeff Tartagia?
Jeff, go ahead.
We'll have to get him the mic.
All right. Plenty of time.
It's 15:30. Well, Charlie, you partly stole my thunder, but my question is regarding if January, the 89% high rate, I'm assuming that is full employment staff-wise. What are those numbers that you then didn't have anymore in February or March?
Well, it wasn't necessarily all because of being full employment. Also, what you always see in January, and I failed to mention it prior, is after the holidays, a lot of the employees have used up their time off. And so when you get into January, a lot of what the situation that you have is the drivers don't have the vacation or their floating holidays or their other time off in the banks. And so then they have to come to work. And so we did experience low call offs during that month also, which dramatically helped us. So like right now, we're about the same as we were staffing level wise in January, maybe even a little bit better because of the fact that we have people out of training and you know, our challenge is people are calling off very heavily. We also have a lot of protected leave and everybody is taking advantage of those situations to call off. And it isn't just isolated to SAC Artigo, it's also with all the other departments here.
Okay, thank you.
I have a little question.
Okay, go ahead.
How many SAC RT drivers are there? And how many do we need to meet the need?
The last part, to meet the
need for the
need. Okay.
Of people that want to ride the service.
Okay, so right now for the fully funded positions that we have bodies in all of those fully funded positions. We have additional drivers on top of that we've been able to get approved and bring in. And then additionally, in our new budget year, we're asking for more additional drivers to be funded. And so with that, you know, if you look at even 6 months ago or 10 months ago, we definitely have more drivers on board filling all those positions. And the need, the challenge that we have is like, you know, March, April of last year, we were at 25,000 passengers and now we're at 31 and it just keeps climbing and climbing and it's just not plateauing out for us. And as we adjust and get to a point where we can meet the demand, then the demand goes higher on us and it's constantly growing. And we're trying to, stay up with it, and two, hope that the demand plateaus out at some point.
But how many drivers do we have and how many do we actually need?
I mean, fully funded positions, we have 118, and we have 118 filled. And then we, the number that we need, the challenge is just like with our bus system and even the light rail, is that changes from day to day based upon protected leave, what people are calling off. If everybody came to work, we would have plenty of drivers. We wouldn't have any issue. But we have people on, protected leave and then taking additional, like vacations and things. And so that is what has been a challenge, not just here isolated at SAC-RT, but also at other transit agencies throughout the country.
What would you suggest that the company would do to lessen the amount of time that they call off or call off in a short period of time? Like, do they have to call in the day before or 2 hours before their shift?
Yeah, we have requirements in our CBAs that requires them to do that. But then you have challenges, just like with the new law for sick leave that came into play in California, which really makes holding the employees accountable or discouraging them from calling off more challenging. So it's something that our HR department is fully, working on with the unions to try to look at what can we do to get our employees to come to work.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
Go.
Okay.
Bus route, light rail. Go drivers are paid the cheapest, but they're not informed before they leave that they can't get a full-time job yet with those other three. Is it possible to start paying them some more money so they stay?
I don't understand the part of the question that before they leave, they're not told what?
That's what I was told by 3 different drivers who tried to go to those other services. They were told when they went there first that they're only a part-time job. They went from a full-time job on Go to a part-time job on those other 3 services. Why? And why are they paid the cheapest out of your 4 services?
Okay.
Since I think they help the disabled community the best.
Yeah, with the SAC-RT Go drivers and their wages, that's something that we're, constantly working on through the HR and the unions, and that we have the CBA is expiring this year, and we have negotiations set up in June to start working with the union. And it's definitely, a topic that, wages and benefits that we'll be addressing through those negotiations. Now, them going to, Smart Ride, I'm not quite sure where that information is coming, because they're clearly explained to them. The only reason that they would transfer from Go to Smart Ride, and it's really not necessarily Smart Ride, it's, we call it micro transit, and then they go to CBS to get to bus or light rail. And that only occurs when there is a need at bus and light rail, and then there's an internal posting put up so that the Elk Grove and SAC-RT Go employees, after their probation ends, are able to apply and then be able to transfer to those locations. And then that they're on a fast track to get to bus and light rail. And if they want to say, no, I'm going to stay at CBS, they're not allowed to. They're forced to go there. So it's not part-time. It's a full-time position. They're guaranteed 8 hours over there. I mean, it's in the CBA. And so I don't know that I wouldn't, that isn't how the system is created. And that's not, I've been in the NEOs, which is our new employee orientation, and it's explained during that time to them.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on this item? Hearing none, thank you very much, Richard. Very informative report. Okay, so the next two items I think are Priscilla's. We have the RT ADA self-evaluation plan and the Borough printer, right? Is that the second one?
Yeah, the
Okay, we'll go ahead and
3D.
do one at a time in case there's questions on the first one. But
Okay, well, I just wanted to share with the MAC that we are beginning internal discussions as it relates to the self-evaluation and transition plan and how we're going to proceed with that effort. That is just starting up, and we'll be meeting, I'm sure, several times internally for the support of that effort, and I'll be reporting back to the MAC as we progress with our efforts in that arena. I do not have anything more at this point, but to share that it is going to be something that we start spending our staff time on. Any questions on that item? Anyone on
Public.
virtually?
Oh, yeah.
Austin, anyone virtually? Okay.
Any members of the public, either virtually or in the room?
This is Regina Brink. So I wasn't sure if I'm recognized, if I have to wait for someone to announce me or just say my name. So I was actually going to comment on the last topic.
Go ahead. I'm
I
not going to penalize you.
Okay. So on Zoom, you have to let us know if we're just supposed to speak when they unmute us. I don't want to interrupt.
Yeah.
So, what I was going to say is I have noticed a slight improvement on coming to the door just recently, but also need to emphasize two things. The sign is really important, especially when you're not at a familiar area, because if you're trying to have someone help you look for something, for the car, it's really difficult. I mean, you can say a car make and model and all that, but the sign would help so much with that, because people think it's an Uber and they get very, confused about that. And I've had people take me to an Uber and then realize that's not it, and can cause confusion. The other thing is that directionally, sometimes the GPS, it's not perfect. And I have noticed there's been some issues with trying to communicate to drivers when you are visually impaired or blind and you can't see the signs or can't see where you're at, trying to communicate. And there has to be a mechanism where they can call and get directions if they get lost. And this last time, it took about 10-15 minutes to find my location. And the driver kept asking me, which I really couldn't help him because I'd never been there. And I had no idea how to help him find it. So that, especially when people have a disability that there's other disabilities that wouldn't allow them to give directions. And that can't be the passenger's responsibility. Okay, that's all I have to say on it.
Yeah, Regina, this has been brought up a lot. And I think if I'm just hazarding a guess here, but I would say RTGO drivers get lost once out of 50 times or something. I mean, it's almost never, very seldom. Whereas user drivers, maybe it's 1 out of 20 or 1 out of 10. I mean, it happens not
way more often with you, sir.
But way more than you'd think.
Yes, with
and
you, sir.
I don't know anybody, at least in the blindness community, that it hasn't happened to. So I know we've tried to impress upon the folks at UServe that this happens, and it really does happen with not huge frequency, but definitely sufficient frequency to be a problem. Because when it does happen, it can really be a problem.
Chair Tom, this is Richard Mitchell, the director. So with that, we have talked to the user quite a bit about the GPS issue. And one of the things we know that is in place, but it does require the driver to call in, that the process they have is the driver's having a hard time finding an address or finding a passenger, is for them to call into their dispatch unit, which has a direct line into our dispatch office. And we're able to assist and to work, like sometimes we're more familiar with a complex or a business like a outside strip mall or even a neighborhood. And but it requires the driver to initiate that. And so they do have that in a policy and process for that. So if that's not happening, definitely call those in, make a complaint about it so that we can at least get those documented, so we have additional examples and data to be able to explain this is what isn't occurring.
Well, I guess I'll do that because it was recent. And I did ask the driver to call in and he would not.
And that would be really good information to add to the complaint.
Okay.
It would be very, it'd be helpful as we get those type of scenarios occurring or those type of complaints. So as we're investigating it, we have that type of information.
Yeah, thank you, Regina, for.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Last item.
so yes, we're on the last item, which is the Braille printer, so.
Yeah, so this has come up, and I know Gene is not present today at the meeting, but he is a good resource, and I'm looking for everyone in the room and virtually to potentially give me some suggestions for companies, different services, resources out there to look into a 3D printer. That's really what I wanted to put out there, is that if that's something that we can potentially pursue, then maybe some folks will have ideas as to where we would look to get a 3D printer. So sending me an email or something along those lines or calling me would be helpful. That's all I have.
Okay, and we can definitely do that between the members of this body that have those expertise and know the companies within the community that do this sort of thing. We can definitely get those resources to you.
Thank you, Jeff. That's all I have.
Okay, we are now at announcements. Do we have any announcements or requests for items to be put on a future agenda?
This is for members, right?
Yes, this is really for members. Although once we're done, if a non-member has an announcement, they're free to make it.
Yeah. Austin, do we have anyone on virtually that has an announcement? No? Okay.
Okay.
No hands up here.
Then I think we are to adjournment, are we not?
I see that Jeff Tardy.
Okay, Jeff, go ahead.
I was just wanting to announce that thank RT for making the free ride day for Earth Day. This Sunday, Earth Day is being celebrated at the Southside Park with over 100 vendors. So just thank you, RT, for putting that together, for offering Earth Day as a free travel day.
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned that. I read that today. Thank you, Jeff, for bringing it out. And it's system-wide, so it does include both bus, light rail, and RT Go. So Monday's the day. All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Okay.
Hello, this is Joe from RIL. So next month, resources for Get It to the Living is going to be hosting a advocacy planning session on the 15th. If anyone is interested, please either reach out to RIL or you could call me at RIL, because we could give you the information to. Okay, we'd love to see some of you at that meeting. So, thank you.
What's the date of it?
May 15th.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Get all of the time for that. Come ready for next week, because we're still deciding all the initial time for it.
Great.
So yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So
I-
moved.
I second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you very much. Good meeting.